Hello, everyone. I want to share something with you, and I hope you'll take a few minutes to listen. I've been pretty quiet over the last year, and I'm in the process of emerging from a very difficult time. I'm posting this in hopes that my story will help others to avoid what's happened to me. Back in 2020, I got COVID. It was a relatively mild case. I did not need to go to the hospital, but I had the usual symptoms: respiratory infection, loss of sense of smell, the whole deal. Well, the respiratory infection got better within a few weeks, and I really didn't give it any other thought. But a while later, I started to feel not right. I started getting these odd symptoms: shortness of breath, my heart started pounding, I got vertigo, my vision got blurry. I would get dizzy. At intermittent times, I would get this brain fog. These symptoms would rise and fall over periods of days, but then things really started to spiral. I started feeling disoriented. I started feeling this enormous pressure in my skull. My energy was just completely gone. I couldn't physically get out of bed. I started having these crashes. It became this sort of profound state of confusion. I'm not talking about like, where did I leave my keys? This was cognitive impairment. I could not think straight. I could not string sentences together. I became unable to work even from home. I couldn't walk. I couldn't drive. I couldn't do basic tasks for myself around the house. I am part of a growing number of people with what is called long COVID or post-COVID syndrome. You might have heard about it on the news. They call us long haulers. We got infected with COVID. The respiratory infection got better, but in that short time, the coronavirus can get beyond the lungs into the bloodstream, and it can do damage in other parts of the body. This can happen to anybody who gets COVID, even if their COVID symptoms are mild. The respiratory infection clears, the virus is no longer replicating, and you're not contagious. But your body has already started an immune system response, and the virus can impair other parts of your body. I'm putting this out there because I want my friends and loved ones to know that this is real. It's not just happening to strangers on the news. This has been the most difficult thing I've ever had to endure in my whole life. I'm coherent right now, and I'm feeling okay today, but it took me months to get here, and I've had several relapses. You know, on the news, there's this narrative where some people get COVID, some people have to go to the hospital, and some people die. So we keep talking about these three numbers, right? Infections, hospitalizations, and death. There's another category that we must pay attention to: these chronic issues that happen to people for weeks and months after getting COVID. If you search for the term long COVID on websites, the CDC, World Health Organization, Google Scholar, your favorite news media outlet, you will find information about long COVID. A large number of people, even vaccinated ones, they catch COVID, they get over the respiratory infection, but they go on to have lingering problems. These problems can range from mild to severe. They can last for weeks, months, or longer. They estimate that from 30 to 50% of people who get regular COVID, even if it's mild, will go on to have long-term problems like cognitive impairment, breathing issues, circulatory problems, depression, sensory issues, increase your risk of heart attack or stroke or diabetes. I'm not advocating for panic. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. I invite you, though, to think about stepping up your game to reduce your risk. This pandemic is shifting, and the things that you've done so far to protect yourself might not be enough going forward. So last winter, I started seeing multiple doctors and specialists. At that point, we didn't know what was going on with me. They did a bunch of tests, but they didn't see anything wrong. One doctor said, "It's probably just anxiety. You know, we're going through an unprecedented time. Oh, you're just out of shape. You're probably stressed out." But I knew that wasn't it. My symptoms looked a lot like mast cell activation syndrome, chronic fatigue syndrome, POTS syndrome, microclotting of the blood, and vascular dysfunction. Scientific studies are coming out fast and furious, showing new evidence that COVID triggers these syndromes. It's taken me months to get to a point where we could treat some of these issues, and only recently have I had enough energy and clarity to put this video together. On the bad days, it feels like you've been hit by a truck. You feel jumbled. Simple tasks become very, very hard. You have no choice but to just crawl into bed and curl up into a ball. Imagine your smartphone could only charge up to 17% each day. Think about how you'd have to ration and conserve to make that 17% last. I've always prided myself in being a smart guy, motivated, social, organized, well-spoken. I have not been those things for most of the last year and a half. This thing stole my motivation, my optimism, my ability to communicate, to think clearly. I'm starting to see signs, sparks of my old self coming back, but I've also relapsed a couple times. I'm actually doing okay today. Today was one of the more clear days I've had in a while, and that's why I'm recording this video today. To everyone listening, I think it's going to be a bumpy road for a little while. Until now, you might have felt like your risk was low, especially if you've had a vaccine. But vaccines are not bulletproof. They don't last forever, and there are new variants. I know you're tired. Don't panic. I'm not saying to crawl into a cave and never come out. I know it's hard. Be safe. If you do test positive for COVID, don't just write it out. The longer the virus is in you, the more chances it has to cause other problems. So if you get COVID, talk to your healthcare provider for treatment. That may include monoclonal antibodies, fluvoxamine, and other medications that reduce the duration and severity of the illness. As for me, I still have a long road ahead. I have to take things very slow, but I do see light at the end of the tunnel. The science world is working on some amazing innovations. I do believe that I'm going to get better. You know, I'm incredibly lucky. My close friends and family have been taking good care of me. They're checking in on me. I have food, I can pay the bills, I have access to medical care. So I don't need any help right now. To my friends out there, I do have a request, and please don't take this the wrong way. I don't have a lot of energy, and I don't have the capacity to respond to the question, how are you feeling? My battery only charges to 17% per day. If you'd like to check in, maybe send a message that just says, I'm thinking of you. For now, think about how you can step up your game. Look out for each other, and be well.